Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Fitnessbyayoku. I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Today we're just gonna take it from where we left off the last time, where we spoke about how to become a better athlete. We're gonna talk about overload. And remember, like when we spoke about that, we mentioned 6 ways in which you could actually become a better athlete. And we said that to become a better athlete, you need to be able to train agility, endurance, balance, coordination, power, and strength. So eventually, if you continue to do that in your training, you're going to get to a peak point in your training where you're going to need to start to do overload training. And overload training basically is like when you try to like lift heavy weights, do more repetitions in your training to really surpass the threshold that you are right now. Okay, so it's that simple. So there are issues with overload training that I think that I need to let you know before you dive into it. One, it's like people who don't really know what they're doing and they're trying to do an overload training is like they tend to overreach and they tend to overtrain. So basically, if you overtrain, you would notice it in your body, basically like you're doing too many repetitions and sets within a short period of time. Like for example, if I was doing like the example that I used in the last video, if I was doing bench press for 325 pounds for 4 reps, okay, say that I was doing that, okay, and now I'm doing like 350 pounds the next week, and I'm doing like 400 pounds the other week following that. And that is you overreaching and overtraining as well, because eventually like your body is gonna break down and you wouldn't be able to really like perform any, like you won't be able to perform due to the fact that you're injured. It's just what it is. Okay, so there are strategies to actually overload the proper way. Okay, so if I were to take you as a client, okay, I would definitely, for one, I would ask you to perform certain exercises where like I would test your strength, I would test your endurance, I would test your agility, I would test your balance, I would test your power, and also your strength. Okay, so all these things I'm gonna test, and all these things I would use to determine where you are in your fitness journey. So now I know like how much you can bench, how much push-ups you can do, and all of these exercises I'm gonna take data from this test, and I'm going to be using to train you. Basically the beginning phase, I'm going to definitely just tell you to perform certain exercises. I'll increase your repetition slowly until we've gotten you to that threshold. Then you enter into the second phase, which is like overload. Now you're no longer a beginner. You really want to get stronger and you're motivated to do that. Then I'm gonna tell you that, okay, fine, here is all the data that I have of you over the past, I don't know how long you're going to really reach that peak, but usually it takes you, some people, like 2 to 3 months. So eventually you've gotten to that threshold where like, you know, you're no longer able to like really lift heavier weights and stuff like that. So then I come in and I tell you that, you know, hey, this is where you've gotten, and this is how much pounds that you can add onto your, say you're doing like bench press, to actually like progress over time. So I, as your personal trainer, I would tell you, okay, I would tell you to not overtrain, to not overreach, okay, to not be too like in a haste to get stronger. Like you need to relax. So I would definitely tell you to like increase your weights by 5 to 10%. So for example, the same example that I used before, you've gotten to your threshold in bench press where you're doing like 325 pounds for 5 reps and you can do it for like 2 sets, you know. So then I'll tell you that, okay, fine, how about we calculate that number and like times it by 5 divided by 100, and then we can determine, you know, the amount of weight that you can lift in the next week or this week, you know, doesn't matter. So that's what I would definitely tell you to do. Okay, so there are different ways to know if you're overtraining. One is that you have increased resting heart rate. So basically it's like when you're done working out, you're just like that is not a good sign. So you can use overload in aerobic exercises, you can use overload in strength training as well. For those who don't know, so if you're performing an exercise, say you're doing like a forward run and it's for a very long distance, so there's gonna be a point where you've gotten to your your peak point, and you're going to start gasping for air because you've really like hit that point. So at this point, if I see you as a personal trainer, I'll definitely tell you like stop and relax, like definitely take a break, because now we know like what your peak point is. Or example, if like I was doing like a bicep curl using 20 pounds and I could only do like 10, I as a personal trainer is telling you to do like 15 repetitions and you've done like 10 and you're like, I would definitely tell you to stop and relax, because that's it. Okay, so number one, you have an increased resting heart rate. We don't really want that. So the second one is blood pressure. So if you notice like your blood pressure is increasing at a very advanced like high rate, I'll just be like over like a very small period of time, I would say stop, please stop. Okay. So the third one is if you have loss of appetite or you start to like get weight loss. So like if you've been overtraining over like a period of time, you tend to notice like, bro, like I saw you like last week, how is it that you are skinny? Okay, that is a situation for it, because everybody has different body types. Let me just tell you something, everybody has different body types, so you can't really say like, oh, like you can't be pointing fingers. But like if I was a personal trainer and say I know that you're an ectomorph, I'll probably be like, oh, okay, that is pretty normal for an ectomorph. If you're a mesomorph, that's a different situation. I'm just gonna be like, yeah, you're definitely overtraining and you're not eating well, So third one is if you have difficulty sleeping. Okay, so if you have difficulty sleeping, it could just be that because of anxiety to train the next day, like when you've gotten to that phase in fitness, like you just do it because you've built discipline to get to that point. So you kind of have anxiety and that's like causing you to not sleep. Or it could just be that it's just messing with you, like your muscles like super sore. It could be a lot of things that's really causing you to not be able to sleep if you're overtraining. Okay, so the fifth one is actually emotional changes or mood swings. So if you're overtraining, yes, I have experienced that. Like normally, like if I'm dealing with something like that's like not too good, like I'll tend to have like mood swings because like like I'm dealing with all of this stuff, like leave me alone, Anyways, so mood swings is something that could definitely happen. Fatigue as well, like if you're tired all the time and you don't have time for nothing else, you're just tired and in bed, it's cause of your muscles are sore probably, and you just really like have overworked yourself, which you shouldn't be doing. So second to the last, we have sore muscle. Like it's okay for your muscles to be sore, but the chronic sore muscles, that's a bad one. Like if you're starting to feel like that, like you cannot walk without the pain, or you're just super sore and just like lying in bed and it's just terrible with the person, yeah, like just relax, like take a break, like it's gonna be nice for you. Take a break. Okay. All right, so the last one is actually extended recovery times. So like if you were to do legs and you overtrain legs, like the recovery time that you need to actually get to go bounce back and go back to like training legs, like say 2 days after, like you will tend to need more time to recover due to the fact that yeah, your muscles are still sore, your muscles are definitely still sore. Okay, so basically, like, that's the signs that you've actually like been overreaching or overtraining. So just pay attention to all of that in your training, okay? So there are different strategies in how to do an overload, and basically, like, if you're doing an overload, you need to pay attention to the FITT principle. So F stands for frequency, I stands for intensity, T stands for time, and the other T stands for type. So what I mean by frequency basically is like, how often do you work out in a week, you know? So for example, like, I work out 6 days in 7 days, so that is my frequency. So my intensity is how hard I work out at the gym. So if I work out like super intense and do like high repetitions, like, you know, less heavy weights, depends on how you put it, okay? We can, like, you know, put it in different ways. That's gonna follow the category of agility, power, balance, coordination, strength, and you know, the rest of the 6 of them, you know. So basically, intensity would, you know, hit those points, like how intense do you want your balance workout to be like, or your strength workout to be like, power workout to be like. Do you understand what I mean? So exactly. So type is basically like, what type of workout would you be engaging in? Like, if you're training balance, exactly what type of balance exercise would you be doing? So the last one is time. So that would be, how long would you be working out for? So if you're not a professional athlete, you tend to be working like 30 to 60 minutes in a day, and depending on the frequency of your workout would determine the total time for your training, okay? So that you need to pay attention to as well. So basically, yes, like, so if you want to do an overload for your training, you need to really pay attention to frequency. Why? Because, like, for example, if I was training say 5 days a week, right? So I would want to increase my overload doing say, instead of 5 days, I would probably want to do 6 days instead, and I would probably add like you know, another, like, I'll probably train like another muscle group. The next video I'm going to talk about how to structure your workout, but today is going to be about overload training. Again, if you're a beginner and you want to like really start working out, this information would really help you. So basically, like, for your frequency, you just need to increase the number of days you work out if you want to do an overload, and you can just like train a different muscle group, you know, on that day to really help with the recovery time. So the second one, you know, is intensity. So if you wanted to implement overload training, is by increasing the weights. You can increase the repetition, and it all depends like on what you are actually training. If you're training agility, endurance, balance, all this will be based upon those 6 things, right? So if I'm training strength right now, I would definitely just want to do heavy weights, and I'm gonna do less repetitions. So that fixed my problem. Like, I'm just gonna increase the intensity. Instead of going at a very explosive rate, I'll probably do like slowly and let it be all controlled and back. Okay, so that's what I would do. So basically that would be for strength, example for strength, yeah. So for type, I would change the type of workout that I'm doing if I'm going to do an overload. So sometimes it could just be that, you know, there are certain muscle groups that you're in training. If you're lifting and doing bench press, for example, you've gotten to 325 and you're not able to like lift heavier, it could just be that it could be like some little part of your muscles that's not strong enough to really support the other muscles to help to push and pull. Okay, so that is what I'm saying. Like, you need to change your workout routine as often as you can. So if you've been doing strength training, you need to like bounce it to intensity, like I said intensity, but agility, endurance, balance. Like, you need to bounce it. Like, it needs to, your workout routine should never be linear. So the type of workout is really really important. and it's important that you also like mix match, okay? The time of workout is also really important. I can't stress that enough. Like, as a beginner or intermediate or advanced, you know, you want to like increase the time that you train and be strategic, and you know, and time manage properly, so you're able to like train as many parts of your body as possible, you know, just to really like get a good physique, you know. So the time definitely is important. But yeah, so this is basically like what you need to do to be able to practice overload in your training. I feel like it's pretty basic, pretty explanatory. Don't forget that you need to increase your number of weights by 5 to 10%. Don't let it exceed that. And also that you know, you can't just continue to add on weights every single week. It doesn't work that way. You need to really like, once you know like you've increased your weights and trained strength for 1 week, you need to hop to endurance. Okay, so like how much repetitions can you do for that one for that weight that you're able to lift right now, like your max weight. You need to know, like, increase the repetition, and when you feel like you're satisfied, your body, like, always listen to your intuition. Like your body would obviously tell you that, okay, I'm strong, I think I'm strong enough, I think I've built my endurance to this level, or your personal coach will be able to tell. Okay, so then you know, do overload again. This comes to the conclusion of my video. I hope you did enjoy it. I was gonna tell you guys that we're gonna talk about periodization and how periodization really helps in your workout, but we're gonna talk about how to section your workout. I feel like people really need it. If you really want to go to the gym, it's something that you really need to be able to do. You know, as a fitness enthusiast, like as someone who works out, you need to be able to have this skill to be able to section your workout and make sure it's balanced. Okay, so until next time, so I guess like we'll talk later. Okay.